How do you square your opposition to the personhood amendment that's on the ballot with your long pro-life position politically?
Well, in both cases, my position is pro-life. The Catholic bishops are correct in their analysis of, I believe, of the rights Colorado could lose if this were to pass. There's actually two levels of concern that I have, and let me focus on that one first. The state retains only a few rights under the Casey decision where human life is concerned. States have the authority, for example, to pass laws that deal with parental notification or fully informed a fully informed patient, transporting minors across state lines for the purposes of obtaining abortions without the consent of their parents, and other laws like that. If this were to pass, it would be challenged, and it would be challenged on the basis, it would be challenged within the context of the Casey decision. And my belief is that the court lacks the votes right now, or it is more likely, given the disposition of the courts, that Colorado would lose that case, and it would result in an erosion of rights that the state retains under the Casey decision on life-related issues. So that's the key reason I don't support it. Secondly, if the amendment were to pass, I'm not persuaded it accomplishes anything from the pro-life movement's interests. But the bigger reason is just one of a fundamental understanding of what an unalienable right is. I think the founders are right, that life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness are God-given unalienable rights, and that precept is that precept is more fundamental than even the Constitution itself. Of course, the founders intended it that way. It is why there was a logical conclusion to the argument on slavery, even though it wasn't reflected in the law at the time, that slavery is, in fact, wrong. It is an unalienable right to be free. The point is, we would never suggest that we ought to vote on this and see how the people feel. And an unalienable right to life is unaffected by the opinions of a majority of Coloradans on any given day, in this case on November 4th. The unalienable right to life is not something you vote on. Whether you should have the right to happiness, whether you should have the right to property, whether you should have the right to freedom of speech. These are not things that we just decide, well, there's some question about this in the court, so let's vote and let democracy decide. This is what it means to live in a...
Really? You wouldn't settle slavery by a vote if you could have in 1860? I mean, because it's so self-evident that black people should not be chattel?
In a constitutional republic where your constitution is supposed to secure the rights for individuals? No, you don't let those rights be overridden by mob rule. Okay. I mean, absolutely not. Now, a vote, I guess the point is, from that standpoint, does a vote change anything? Let's suppose voters decide that an unborn child has no rights. Does that really change the unalienable rights of that child? No, it doesn't at all. And so it won't change, it shouldn't change it would never change a court's interpretation of that right. It wouldn't change the existence of that right from the standpoint of natural law. And so from my standpoint, the opinions of the opinion of a majority of voters in the context of a democracy is very different than what this country relies on in its appreciation for the rights of individuals from the standpoint of a republic.